Good afternoon. My name is Scott Cohen. I'm the CEO of Dime Store Media, and today I have 5 panelists that bring a wealth of information and experience. My goal in running these panels has always been not to have everyone agree, so any chance I get, I will juice it up. I'm going to do a quick introduction. If you want, their bios are on the website. I actually think that they probably are part of LinkedIn, even though you could check that also. I'm just going to kind of point out the direction in which they're coming from, and they may correct me because even though I've talked to most of them, I didn't talk to one. Joe is from Disney, and Joe would bring forth the ad sales and destination, a lot of cross-sales experience. I've got Todd, who runs the largest. One of the largest. Geez, last week it was the largest. Something happened?
It's a political environment.
Political, okay. One of the largest video ad networks, and having been involved in networks and advertising since the mid-90s, I've watched them come and go, and he seems to be on a tear, and everyone who's dealt with him has told me great things about Todd. Eric is the CMO at Heavy, and Heavy is a niche network, am I correct?
And growing.
And growing. Not the largest, but growing.
One of the largest.
But the largest in the demo of 18 to 34-year-old men?
That's right.
There we go. Okay. And I've got Darcy. Darcy is the CEO of Origin, and as far as I understand, is very well versed in the technology and serves the ads on MSN. All the ads on MSN. Everything.
Video.
All the video. All the video ads come through Darcy.
Process them.
He puts them right through, and he's taking a break, so there's no ads on MSN right now. And then we've got, last but not least, is Emily. And Emily is a partner at Accenture and in the media and entertainment division. So with that as the introduction, I asked folks to send me some stuff about what they did and what their firms did. And I received a terrific white paper from Darcy. And there were some great conclusions. I always like to look at the conclusions first. And so I figured that it would be a good start to just outline, where was it? The 3 takeaways from their survey in media and entertainment. One, that advertising industry is facing a radical transformation. So, wait a minute, okay. Todd, Darcy, are we really? Is it radical? How long have you been in the business?
20 years.
20 years. Okay, are we doing things different?
I think we're just getting started.
We're just getting started, so it's not radical because
it's radical that people are actually spending money instead of guessing what's going to happen in the business. There are some trends to watch.
Okay, so what are the trends that we should be watching?
Just the shift of spend from traditional markets into new markets. I think that you heard Les talk this morning. I think they're getting it a little bit more than they were. They'll be able to track on user behavior, and there's targeting and things going on. So I think that's the radical part of it.
So targeting, okay, Todd, the second key takeaway from this survey was that we are able to use technology to offer advanced customer interactivity, targeting, and analytics in getting real competitive differentiation. Are we targeting?
I think today we're definitely targeting in video. I don't think we're leveraging all the power of the interactive medium to do targeting. In our business, the majority of targeting today is still demographic targets. We haven't really got, and site targets, we haven't really gotten to the level of behavioral and other sort of categories of targeting that have been big in other online mediums. But it's trackable, and there are metrics that are valid across all online inventory, which means dollars will flow. So I say yes and no.
Okay. Emily.
Yes.
I don't know if they're agreeing with you here. So this third takeaway, digital content and online business models have lowered barriers to entry. And the new entrants are going to have to compete for advertising dollars. How are they going to have to do that? You talk to all these people, lots of big clients, tell me.
Well, so basically with digital advertising, you're now able to get into a market where it would cost a lot to be an advertiser, to produce advertising. Think of TV advertising. And so now you can be a company that produces or creates an ad network, like ad.com as an example.
Well, like Todd.
Like Todd.
Yeah.
And so that just
Or
didn't
like
exist
Eric.
before.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So really, the cost of getting in, the cost of setting up relationships, of delivering the technology, really, compared to what it used to be, is
Cost
a
is
lot
dropping.
less. Yes.
Darcy, is it dropping?
Absolutely.
Huge, right? How much
Absolutely.
did it used to cost to deliver this stuff?
It's orders of magnitude different.
Orders of magnitude. Okay, so, and not only that, it actually works now, right? I mean, 6 years ago, there was no YouTube, there was no ABC News online, things like that, so it's working. Okay, so the cost is down. And what's that going to do for us?
Well, it allows a whole new set of companies to get into the game.
Okay,
And it allows companies to go from making $0 in advertising 1 year to making millions and millions. And that sort of ability to go at that scale just really didn't exist.
so we're going to
10
make
years ago.
millions and millions of dollars from video advertising on the internet when?
Very good question.
Okay, so somebody told me a story yesterday at dinner that they were told by a friend about a show, and they had to go and look at that show on the internet because they missed the show and they didn't TiVo it. And so that show, I'm not going to mention any names here, turned out to be Lipstick Jungle, which I haven't seen, but I assume is a targeted demo of some sort or another. And this person went and watched the show on the internet, 6 episodes or 6 breaks, commercial breaks. I think that the commercial was for the
It was for the Animal Humane Society.
Animal Humane Society. Okay, and as far as I understand that, Todd, would that be a PSA?
I'm not familiar with that specific one, but it sounds like
Sounds like it. Joe,
That
is
would
it
be
an
my
ABC
guess.
show?
No, it's not.
Okay, phew. All right, so we're driving people to the internet. We're supposed to be making millions of dollars. Here was your chance. We got Darcy to watch the show on the internet. Joe, are you showing PSAs?
Not in any of our broadband space, no.
Not in the broadband space. So what happens when you don't sell the ad? I mean, it's always been fun because in television you don't get, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor, and then you get 30 seconds of dead air. Okay,
Well,
so
Disney has a series of business units that take advantage of those.
So in-house ads.
There will be some of that, but for the most part, we're creating content around advertiser interests rather than utilizing pure commodity-driven video. So the opportunity is really more about creating targeted content, contextual, relevant kinds of content that we can attach. Advertise.
Contextual target. Okay. Eric,
That's our
tell
sweet
me
spot.
about contextual targeting in a specific demo.
Sure.
How are we doing it?
What we're doing at Heavy, our whole site is aimed at guys 18 to 34. It's that sweet spot. It's the guy that's not watching TV that much. He's playing video games on the TV probably. He's not reading magazines. So we want to make.
So you got them
funny,
coming to
edgy-
see the
they're
show.
Coming.
Come
They're
and
coming
see
to
the
see our
space.
show.
Coming
we
to
do
watch
an hour and a
the
half
movie.
original content every week. They come back to watch it. They upload
Web
videos.
episodes.
Huh?
Designed just for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just for us. Animation.
Millions of dollars?
Millions.
Millions. Who's the
Millions.
biggest advertiser we got?
You have to go look at the site there. I'll spend a ton on there. I can't tell you.
Give us
which one's not.
okay. Give us
We've got
3
the cell
advertisers.
phone guys. Cell phone guys are big with us. The movie studio guys are big with us. Soft drinks, cars. We get the broad range of advertisers, and we see more and more mainstream advertisers, if you will, come into Heavy every week. And the type of content's more and more compelling. Heavy's been around for 7 years, and it used to be seen as this really edgy, risky content that no one wanted to be around. Then people started to realize, if I want to reach a guy who's 22 years old, this is the stuff that they're watching.
So let's talk user-generated content for a second. Todd, does your network serve to any user-generated
user-generated content is not part of our network.
Absolutely not.
Not absolutely
None.
not. I mean, there are a lot of examples of UGC sites now that have premium content, so there are pockets of UGC sites that we
Okay.
would participate
But
in,
you don't want to touch
UGC
that
content is not interesting
Joe?
to us.
Are you?
We really do less in the form of user-generated content. Mostly what we use is assets of the
You
company.
got branded entertainment.
That's pretty much where we're
Great
connected.
stuff. Been on TV, extends the
Generally
brand.
speaking, connected with stories and characters and the type features that Disney's known for.
So Eric's capturing all of this. Wait, Darcy.
No, we love it.
Darcy, are we getting any user-generated content on Microsoft?
No, but 108 other portals we serve do. And they
Really?
certainly are seeing everything from Web 2.0, Funny or Die type of companies, to brands that are actually using UGC to drive branding.
Okay, so now how are
Johnson
we
& Johnson.
protecting ourselves from, quote, inappropriate stuff?
Well, I guess moderation is the key for us. We have a moderation service. We
So-
actually watch the
wait a minute.
UGC before it makes it
So
to the
is
screen.
this person here watching everything and making sure it's appropriate before it goes up?
She's part of our moderation service, yes.
Really?
That's
Emily.
human. That's human interaction.
Are we going to make millions of dollars off of user-generated content?
Not this year.
Not this year. Okay. So then, where are we going to go? Branded content. Tell me about your advertisers.
I think that's where we see the opportunity for us at the moment. I think there's definitely user-generated options for us in the future, but right now, we refer to it as user-influenced. I mean, in
We
the
got
sense that
Disney.
We've
Disney
got a
is
lot of
brand.
assets. We have a lot of great assets and a lot of great content that,
Okay.
by forming opportunities around that, advertisers are taking advantage of.
And the
connection.
advertisers are flocking to it.
Actually, they are. We
They
are
are.
seeing more and more of those every day. And it's a function of them being sort of in some ways taught about how to use this new medium. I mean, there's a lack of knowledge out there in general about how to take advantage of it. And I think to some degree, part of our responsibility in the media space is to help educate around what we can do and how we can activate opportunities around our important content.
Well, Todd, you're not making millions of dollars from user-generated content, so are you going to make money from serving ads to some branded content?
Yeah, well, just a first comment about user-generated content. I think user-generated content has proven to be a great audience aggregator, and so in many cases, I mean, YouTube will make millions of dollars this year off of an audience that was created on
But you don't
either
want part of that
user-generated
audience.
or illegal content. But in
Legal
general,
or illegal?
I'm saying illegally uploaded in the
Okay.
beginning, but they as an audience aggregation mechanism, user-generated content has been very effective. But the types of content that our advertisers want to be around is typically highly edited, professionally produced, branded content, and that's the type of content we focus on aggregating.
Top sites that you're serving.
Unfortunately, because we're buying a lot of inventory that's unsold on publisher sites that...
Wait a minute, unsold. Hold it. To make millions of dollars, there's the supply-demand thing. It's an X or LX curve.
Yeah.
What's unsold?
I mean, in our experience, many publishers have large amounts of unsold inventory, even though there's a financial incentive to...
Joe doesn't.
Oh, I didn't say that. I said that we have opportunities that we build around that. But the reality is, he's right. There's a lot of unsold inventory out there around video that I think is available, but that's because there's a need for education
But
on how to take advantage.
wait, time out. Okay, video, it's hot, limited supply. We're talking pre-roll, post-roll, mid-roll. Where are we focused on?
Most of our business is pre-roll and in-banner video.
Pre-roll. Where are you focused on?
Combination of pre-roll and integrated video.
Okay, and
Got interstitials, got mid-roll, pre-roll, video skins.
anything you
You
can.
want it, we got it.
We
Millions.
got it. Okay, Darcy, what's working?
It's a combination. And first of all, it's cross-platform.
Okay.
So typically, you're going to drive demand across broadband to mobile or television to broadband or vice versa.
Oh, I
So
want to
think
capture mobile in a little while. and
linking
then
all
one
that
we'll come
together
back to.
is key. Making sure you have a cross-platform play so
Dart?
you can drive traffic, especially for the larger companies.
Emily, were you aware of this amount of unsold inventory?
I was.
You were.
yes.
How much unsold inventory is out there?
There's a lot.
A
But-
lot.
But I think the great thing is, as we're talking about, is there's many different sales channels to basically sell that inventory.
Okay, so he produces some, you can buy some from him, you can sell it. You're selling broad reach, you're selling the specific content. You're not going to buy his because his is user-generated.
That's not all user-generated.
Oh, so you'll buy some of his?
Yeah, Heavy actually has a great
I get a
blend.
10% commission on
They
this.
have a great one thing I'd add on that, so a big part of our network are news sites and information sites, and I'm now calling this the Spitzer effect, where basically one day, your site...
Spitzer effect, you heard it here first.
Your site traffic goes up by a factor of 5 or 10, and your ad ops team is just unprepared for that type of volume. So there are a lot of cases where it's very hard to predict from an inventory management perspective, how much.
And you come to the rescue.
I think it's going to be
Todd to the rescue.
it's going to be a big piece of our business. absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So you've got this ability to control, take advantage of, not control, you take advantage of sites that hadn't planned on big news like whatever, the Spitzer effect.
Yeah, and I think it's not just
Emily, did you
news.
study the Spitzer effect in your report?
We did not.
You might
no.
want to do that in the follow-up
I heard it here
report.
first.
Yeah.
Darcy, are you familiar with the Spitzer effect?
Well, I'm familiar with the volume that it drives in
Okay.
terms of network traffic.
So you saw that yesterday? You're not seeing it now, but because
You
you're
see it
sitting
around
here.
any news event that's newsworthy, breaking news.
Okay.
It's always happening.
So how are you and your clients dealing with it? Are you able to serve to that volume?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we got this advertiser, these advertisers, those advertisers. You ran all their frequency caps. You ran all their targeting. That was a micro target over here. That was a demo target over there. You did it all. Now what are they serving? We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of them have remnant ads that they have placeholders. We do a lot of.
Are you serving them?
No, they do on their portals. We
They
don't.
do.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you track what percentage is remnant?
We can track every ad, every piece of content that's viewed.
So do you keep
anywhere.
track of which is remnant and which is?
Absolutely.
You do? What percentage are we dealing with?
You know, I don't know. I don't have that.
You're the
top of mind.
expert. That's why you're up here and they're down here. Todd, what percentage is remnant?
So I think something that's important in video to understand is the concept of remnant for lots of the publishers we work with doesn't exist in video. So if there's an
At
opportunity,
least they don't want to admit it.
no, but I mean it's actually not worth corrupting the user experience for a bargain basement price. The same way that you might fill a remnant banner inventory at 1/10 or 1/20th the cost of rate card. So if you don't have an app,
wait, whoa. 1/10 to 1/20th of the rate card. Eric,
Yes.
what's the rate card?
How much you want to buy? How long you want to run it?
1 million ads.
Let's talk. I don't have a rate card.
CPM, what's my CPM?
22, 25 bucks.
$22 to $25. You have any remnant stuff?
Occasionally.
Is that across all heavy 22?
Yeah. Because heavy's made up of the interstitial
It's a targeted
Scan
demo, weren't you
and the
listening?
mid-roll. No, it's not all user generated. User generated is about 10%, but what we do with user generated is we get users to submit it. We highly filter it, so for two reasons. One, we want to be really relevant to
All right, so
the young audience.
are
Well,
you,
we don't want the skateboarding dog, and if you get user generated content, it comes up, it performs well, we'll go back to you and pay you to produce more for our
so are you
audience.
selling remnant inventory?
Yeah.
And do you sell it for 10 to 20% of the rate card?
It's less, but it's not guaranteed, and a lot of times we'll take it and we'll use
Blind.
it to promote our own programs, or we'll swap it with other similar sites so we can increase our overall traffic.
You're like Disney, you promote in-house ads.
Yeah.
Got it, okay. Joe,
Just like Disney.
what kind of CPM are we talking? Disney!
Broadband is
God darn it, it's the best!
our broadband is run in the range of $30 to $35 a thousand still.
$30 to $35 a thousand. And what demo? You own this demo, don't you?
It's really a mom's demo.
And you own it.
I
Who's your
believe-
competition?
Well, iVillage,
Okay.
in terms of broadband, and the likes of a Nickelodeon and some of
They're
those.
small stuff, right?
Not exactly, but I think the content that we attach
They're Disney.
this to is pretty valuable. And the way that we play it is $30 to $35 a thousand.
All right, so what happens when you don't, are you selling it as remnant? Will you sell some to Todd?
No, we don't sell it.
Todd,
yeah.
why should he be selling some of his inventory to you?
Well, I think every publisher makes a different decision about how they handle unsold inventory.
I thought you were going to say every publisher does except for him, but okay.
No.
So
We would love to be able to buy unsold inventory on any tier 1 brand such as Disney, and I think there's a lot of sales politics and potential channel conflict concerns. There's lots of issues to work through, but
we have an advertiser, agency advertiser here. Anyone? No, not a one. No one's going to admit it. All right.
That may be the problem right there.
It is a possibility. All right, so if I'm an advertiser, let me pretend to be the advertiser. I come with my bucket of money, and I want to spend it, and I call Joe, and Joe says $30, $35, and I call Eric, and Eric says $20, $22. Darcy, are you?
I won't say anything.
You aren't going to.
I'm agnostic. I don't care what.
You're the infrastructure. All right, Todd, I want to spend $1 million. Will you tell me where my ads are going to run?
yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yep, we're a transparent network, so
Transparent. Does everyone can you, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds,
A
go. What's a
a
transparent
transparent network is essentially you disclose what sites a campaign's going to run on, and then you disclose as much information as you can about the performance of those campaigns by site while respecting.
Son of a gun, so I do one-stop shop.
You know, I think that
I buy it all.
if you want guaranteed sponsorship, you know,
I gotta
display
go
and
deal with
video,
Joe.
you know, that is not our bread and butter,
Yeah.
and there's huge value to that. So
That's why
you
he
know,
gets $30, $35.
exactly. So I think that you know there's a place for both
So-
players in the market.
I mean, not that there's any, that some of the advertisers are missing here, but, you know, I would imagine they're not stupid. And pretty soon, if they start being able to buy your remnant network, they stop going direct to some of the big sites that you're buying from.
Yeah, I think that the way we see the business
Joe,
is,
you're snickering here. I mean,
No, I'm
you're Disney and you're not selling remnant. Okay.
I mean, they're all fair concerns about it. I mean, the way we position ourselves in the market is we're bringing incremental video only. We're typically RFP'd for video only campaigns. A lot of these campaigns we manage exclusively, so they're not campaigns that would go directly to a publisher site. But we're hypersensitive to channel conflict. It's a huge concern, and if we were, you know, in any way impacting in a negative way a publisher's business, we wouldn't have access to that inventory. So,
Eric, do you sell any remnant inventory through anybody else?
Yeah, we have a couple of remnant
You got a couple
partners.
of brokers?
Continue to look at them, add more.
Couple of people? Emily,
Yeah.
what's the story with the remnant? What should we be doing with it? I mean, what's your advice for these guys? You're the big powerhouse consultant.
Well, I mean, there's really many options. There's the ad network option. and
Okay.
There's a bunch of different ad networks. So there's some that focus on certain content areas, some that yeah, content
Transparent.
area.
We got that one, right? What
Yeah,
other
some that are
kinds?
very focused on demographics, so the female market.
Got it.
So that's one option.
And they can serve the Humane Society ads
They can.
when you're watching your lipstick jungle.
And the other option is do you want to promote, you know, do house ads, promote products within your own site. You
That's
can
what Joe
also
does.
take
That's pretty
some of your
smart.
advertising and make it more performance-based. So there's different sort of ad products that you can use that space for that may allow you to kind of sell more of the inventory that you don't sell.
I'm going to go back to your first conclusion. What was that? I think I put it down over there somewhere. There it is. We're in radical transformation. Well, wait a minute. Okay, back in the early days of the internet, we talked about targeting. It works about as well then as it did now. Maybe not. Maybe it's better. But we had these same issues. You had banners, buttons, and text links, and you had unsold inventory, and the price went down. So is that what's going to happen to video?
So I think that this transformation is more about how people consume media.
How they consume it.
So it's instead of watching live programming,
Right.
for example.
They go to the internet, they watch the
or
6
on their
parts
DVRs,
of the...
exactly. And so that creates a whole new environment of how you can do advertising.
But we're not making millions of dollars showing the PSAs. And we're not making millions of dollars.
But
doing-
it's just a matter of time. It's just because it's a learning curve. So it's sort of like banner advertising 5 or 6 years ago where you had hundreds of formats and it was very inefficient, and now you have a standard
All right,
set of
wait a
10 or
minute.
11.
Let's
so it's just a matter
talk
of time.
formats for a sec. Darcy, formats. You're serving to a bunch of sites? How many different formats?
Format bit rate combinations,
Go ahead.
1,800 plus.
1,800 different formats. And we're not even talking mobile yet, are we?
That would include mobile.
Oh, that includes mobile. Okay. Okay. So, are you dealing with all these different formats?
standardization is a huge problem across across.
We
our
hit a
network.
problem.
It's
Is
a
this
good-
on
it's
the
a
way
good
to the
problem.
millions of dollars that we're supposed to be making?
I would disagree that people aren't making millions of dollars today. I think we're farther along than sort of you're giving credit to the industry, because
Tell us.
there are many companies, multiple companies, and I think almost many this year that will do tens of millions of dollars on video
On
advertising.
video, okay.
So I think that standardization, in my opinion, is one of the biggest barriers to growth in this category. We have different players, different content management systems, different file size, different aspect ratios, bit rates. It is a significant problem, but I personally think the biggest standardization problem is actually the standardization of third-party ad serving on publisher inventory in video.
Which
At least
you
that's
happen
from
to
our-
do.
Well, it's our biggest barrier for us.
That's
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
right? But you've corrected it?
I mean, we find ways to work at publisher inventory. I wouldn't say we've solved it for the industry. We
haven't
found a
solved
way
it.
to make it work for us.
For you,
Yeah.
okay. Joe, do you have to worry about this? Or can you?
Sure, I mean, you
We're
know,
Disney.
in
Give
the
it to us our
business-
way.
Well,
or you're-
our business is made up of largely of television as well. So, I mean, we're certainly aware of the change and the seismic changes that are happening, I think, in this space. There is no standard 30-second commercial in online. You know, you can call
Wait,
it pre-roll.
okay, is the 30-second dead? Who thinks the 30-second is dead? It's the number of people here? You don't?
No, I don't. I believe that's still a powerful medium and a very
On
effective
TV?
way to
On the
message.
internet?
On
On
TV, perhaps less so on the internet, but definitely on the TV.
Darcy, 30-second.
I'd say
Dead
last
or
year,
alive?
last year everybody was regurgitating what they had on TV. This year they're getting smarter and they're different on the internet and on mobile, of course. So I don't
This
think
is
it's
our
dead.
transformation.
It's not dead. It's still on television and still the foundation of much advertising you see.
This is where there's lowered barriers of entry and we're forcing them to change, right?
Yes.
Are the agencies smart?
In what way?
Are they getting it? Are they figuring out how to change the creative? You talk to a lot of agencies?
Yeah, actually, the survey we did interview some of the agencies.
Okay, I
And,
would
and
imagine. Some of the big ones?
Yeah, as well
okay.
as some of the more niche
Okay.
agencies. And absolutely, I mean, they're hearing it from their clients, from the marketers, and then they're also hearing it from the people that deliver the advertising. So I think they understand where the demand is and where the challenges are.
Okay,
I think there's a missing piece that we haven't touched on, but I think it's the measurement of online viewing that ultimately is going to
supposed to measure?
change some of that. The ability to have the same kind of metrics that television buyers are used to is
cut
going to
levels, GRPs.
some
rating
form
points,
of
something,
measurement
right?
along those lines.
Wait, is video being bought on a CPM? Yes, yes,
Largely.
yes, yes. Oh, yes, okay. Click rate?
It's the only metric that's out there for them to buy against right now.
Are they measuring click rates?
We obviously measure click rate, whether it's you. I mean, we have some advertisers that focus on it, but the vast majority do not. You know, I think an interesting point is on this panel earlier, there was Tracy and Jen from MediaVest and Starcom, and both of them said, you know, the 30-second spot was going to have a resurgence. Actually, was their position, and you know, I think until there's measurement that shows that some other format is more effective, you know, I think you're going to continue to see dollars, and definitely the majority of our business is still 30-second video ads at this point.
You're getting 30s.
I think the range of ROI that has to be considered by advertisers and marketers right now has got to go clearly beyond click, clearly beyond simple impressions as to what the impact of a video impression online is. The value of that PSA is pretty damn valuable if they're running it 6 times inside of that show.
Can you imagine? And by the way, what was your thought of the Humane Society at the end with the little puppy dogs? What did you tell me? Come on.
I was sick of seeing it.
Sick of seeing it. I always thought that more advertising, good advertising, after a while, I guess you do burn out the person who's watching the ad.
What's interesting is what they've also started to do is actually create a story around the advertising, and that's actually where it can be effective. Is where you're actually telling a story, so that it could be one company that's doing the promoting, but throughout the content, you're actually have a consistent message, but it is a story. So I think where that Humane Society didn't fare well is it was basically the exact same ad,
Kind of
a
stupid.
dozen times.
Okay. We don't know who booked it. We don't know.
Right.
Can I comment?
To that,
Yeah.
I think that problem of the repetition of ads, I think is going to go away this year. I mean, most of the players that we talk to, the number of, I call it simultaneous campaigns that are unique, is getting to a number where I think you're going to no longer see that problem happen. You know, I don't know if
So I target my demo, I target the age, I target the frequency caps, they all hit, and I finally got something else to run.
Yeah, I think it's more just the number of total advertisers that are doing online video is rising.
How many
and so,
different advertisers you have?
I
You keep
think
track of that number?
I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's probably total unique advertisers today is somewhere between 35 and 50, something like that.
35 and 50, okay? How many unique advertisers on your network?
100.
100.
100.
100. You're serving them, you're keeping
Over
track.
300 sites or companies, it's probably in the thousands.
Thousands of advertisers.
Writers alone, you know, drives 300-400 advertisers.
Wow, okay. So you deal with advertisers?
Absolutely.
You deal with agencies?
Yeah.
All right, who's doing it right?
Who's doing it right? I think that one of the agencies we've done a lot of work with that seems to be very progressive and understands the space is McCann.
McCann. Okay.
One agency that we haven't done a lot of work with that I think seems to have a good strategy is MediaVest.
Okay.
Those two jump out to me as sort of being more progressive.
What do you, give me if you have one, specifics, as much without disclosing confidential information, what you think they did that was brilliant?
It was brilliant. I think that one of the big pieces that I care about is whether folks are willing, there's a lot of talk about there's new ad units, or there's ways to get bigger video in front of people, and there's ways to do different file format. There's sort of ways to push the envelope, but very few people put dollars behind learning. And I think that it's not always about getting it right the first time, but it's about the learning that you then can reintegrate into other campaigns. And I think that we don't like testing as a broad category because testing usually is limited in budget. But I think for new categories like video, it's important to test different sites, different ad units, different lengths of video.
All right, so they're testing, and do you know what advertiser it was?
There have been multiple advertisers for McCann that we've worked with, but I don't feel comfortable talking about
Okay, no specific campaign. You deal with 100 advertisers.
Yeah, probably over the course of the year, 100 advertisers.
Who's messed up big time?
None of them. They're all great.
They're all great, okay.
I think all the advertisers and agencies are, when you ask if they're smart, I think they're really smart. What they're asked to deal
They're
with
not
today.
here, don't worry about it. I mean, it is being filmed and being distributed on the web, but don't worry.
It'll run on all the video sites. But I think what they're asked to be, their face every day of there's a new ad format, there's a new site, there's the opportunity to see 6 ads in a row and you burn them out and no one will ever adopt a dog again, versus how do you tell that sequence story. So I think you start looking at agencies like Mindshare, really thinking of how do we incorporate our brands, all of their Unilever products, into these great stories that run on their sites as part of their TV ad.
All right.
I think they're faced with
You're
huge
not
challenge.
giving me enough specific. Joe, you've got 35 advertisers, 50 advertisers?
Over 100.
Over 100, okay.
In any given month.
Tell me, I'll ask you who's doing it right, but I'm going to ask you for a disaster story too. So you can't answer one without the other.
Quid pro
Deal?
quo, huh?
Have we got a deal?
Yeah, that's a
All
deal.
right. It could be an old
I would
disaster
agree
story
that
you fix.
MediaVest has led the way in terms of some of the things we're doing with them, with Walmart in particular.
With Walmart.
Yep.
Okay, so we have an
Incorporates
advertiser.
video.
Bucket of money. They brought it to you.
There's a relation, again, what I talked about earlier in terms of our ability to build contextual relationships around, in many cases, our franchises or our programs, tying video as well as retail applications to that, and utilizing the technology that exists to surround the consumer in many ways across all of our platforms. That is what I think MediaVest has done very well in relationship to their connection to us on High School Musical as well as Hannah Montana. That will continue, and again, it reaches into a number of different platforms.
And they buy
with us.
everything through.
They do,
Walmart
across all of
broad
our-
reach, right? And you can deliver that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, again, across all of our companies and across all of our media outlets, there is a connection
What
back.
percentage of a buy goes to interactive when you're sitting at the table with television and all your print and everything else that is part of the Disney empire? I mean,
It
Big Mouse is
varies greatly, but, on average, 15%,
there.
10 to
15?
15%.
So if you could
We'd like to
increase
see
that
that.
would be good.
Yeah, sure, we'd like to see that more in the range of 20 right now.
Emily, how do we get advertisers to spend more on the internet? What's the biggest barrier?
What is the biggest barrier? Well, I mean, depending on the advertiser, I mean, some of it is actually just education on all the different interactive ad products out there. As was noted before, I mean, every day there's a new sort of ad product.
So we're going to go to
And so the
different.
world is, I
Instead,
think
wait a
it's
minute. We were talking
challenging.
before about getting it to a standard. You're saying
Well,
no
it's because there
standard. Let's
isn't-
get familiar with them all.
No, I'm saying that's actually the challenge, because there isn't a standard, that there's a lot of different options. Some things are wildly successful, some aren't. And so because of the lack of standards, I think it makes it harder to understand what really works. And so then the onus is on the agencies and on the publishers to really educate the marketers on what's effective. And I think that gets into performance and analytics.
Okay, Joe. Who's not getting it? And you don't have to identify the specific advertiser, but give us enough to understand
Honestly,
what the hell's out there.
I think it's not a matter of getting it. I think it's really a matter of being able to defend it. I think a lot of them believe that it can work. There's still, again, the metric issues in terms of what they're being asked to do and how they're being asked to do it. It's very difficult to move money from television budgets when you know that you've got clients who still are not engaged
They
in the
get the
internet.
television thing. It's sight, sound, and
It's
motion,
easy
and that's
for
what
them.
the internet did not have because of banners, buttons, and text links. There was no sight, sound, and motion. And now, Todd, you bring them sight, sound, and motion. Darcy, you bring them. Come on. You're bringing it to them. What's their holdup?
Well, I think part of it is creative applications. I mean, I think being able to make that transition to how to work online versus what they're used to doing in a very structured format of television, which is still
A
effective, but
30-second spot.
very tough to get outside of that mindset. And again, I think if I were to point out a disaster, while I won't name the clients, it's those that have taken the simple method of just taking their 30-second commercials and dropping them into a pre-roll and expecting that that's the measure of what internet video is to be. It certainly isn't.
What's the best way to measure? Emily, you did all the research.
So I like the measurement of average revenue per user, per unique
Average
user.
revenue per user. Are we talking DR?
What do you,
Direct
From
response?
publisher?
just a percent? No, no. I mean, when you just look at, so for example, if you're a publisher and you look at all the unique users that come to your site, how much, and you look at all the revenue that your site generates from advertising, what is essentially the average revenue that you have per user? And that is
That's
often
the
a
publishers.
combination.
Okay, so from a publisher, that's going to
Yes.
be, okay. how's
You're
the
asking from an advertiser.
Yeah, I think that, they're the ones paying the money. I can imagine they'd be real interested in trying to figure out what's the best way to measure the effectiveness of the ad.
Right, and it depends on the intent of the ad, if it's a branding effort or if there's actually some call to action that can be done. So if you're a car manufacturer, for example, and you're just trying to get leads to your local car dealers.
Your delete gen.
Right, exactly. So that is one mechanism. But I think it varies. I don't think there is, one. A lot of what's used is return on investment. So how much do you spend and how much do you think you got for that investment?
Eric, how do we get more money from the TV guys?
I think one big thing is make it easy. Make it easier, we make it complicated.
Sounds pretty
Most
easy. I give you guys money and you give them
I
ads.
think if you
right?
look at video advertising today on the majority of sites, is you put a video up, the ad runs, and there's 500 links around it. There's 300 places you can go. There's 2 other ads. And a TV advertiser is used to, I'm buying in the show. When the show stops, my ad runs. It's the only thing that's going on. They may click away. They may go to the bathroom. But if they don't have the opportunity to lower their bills, go on a diet, go to an entertainment site, watch your video, and watch the ad all at the same time. So I think that clarity of one video, one ad is going to start to translate the TV ad environment to the internet ad environment in a way that people understand.
Darcy, do we keep making it a barrier to content? I mean, is that the answer? Jam it down these guys' throats. Okay, if you want to watch the content, you're going to watch my ad.
No, I think this, you asked earlier what the smartest thing we've seen. The smartest thing we've seen is people coordinating local with national, making sure they fill the inventory with local. And the internet is, by virtue of the internet, you can tell exactly where a person is. Maybe you not want to give up all the information about it, but you know that they're in a given market. And so a lot of the coordination of local advertising, that's where we're seeing all the inventory get filled up with our customers.
And local higher CPMs?
Yes.
Yeah. Can imagine during the primaries. Did anyone do any political advertising? None. Did you pitch it?
We did. I would say.
Wait, this was supposed to be the year of the internet.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of lobbed in some interest, but I wouldn't say we aggressively pitched it.
Nobody. Clinton, Obama,
No, we didn't
McCain.
get a lot of feedback. So
the American Rifle Association. Nothing.
nothing.
Joe.
We
They were
don't-
reaching moms. This
Yeah, we don't-
campaign hinged on it. Did you go to them and say, I've got the moms?
No, we don't accept political on Disney.com.
None. None. Why? I mean, it's not porn.
It's a question I've asked, but I don't have an answer.
Some say.
No answer. Okay, Eric,
I'd love to have
you
political
got a
advertising.
demo.
Yeah.
In some contest, this had to be bang. You could have delivered it.
And we still can.
And did you pitch it?
No, we haven't pitched it yet.
You didn't pitch it at all.
No,
All right, if you do, I want 10%.
it's a deal.
Darcy,
We're waiting for Jerry Brown.
did you see any political advertising?
We saw a smattering of it across different sites, but I wouldn't say anything that's consistently we could put a number on.
Emily,
Yes. Why?
there's a lot of political money out there, right? Your firm aware of that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Did you talk to any politicians?
No.
Did you ever study the politicians' spending on TV?
No.
Well, you had to on TV at some point. One of your studies had to do that. but nothing on
But
the
not,
internet.
not the political segment specifically, no.
We did see a fair amount of money at our local station sites, again, within ABC, as
Okay.
opposed to Disney.
The
So there we
interesting
go.
thing was, I think, that wasn't political advertising, it was advertising around politics that we saw. The primaries were being run on several websites, and people were taking advantage of, there was a lot of eyeballs there and putting
Yeah, there was a lot of video,
inventory in front of
right?
them. Absolutely.
So you go and watch the speech, and user-generated content, was it a good thing to have for politics or not? It doesn't matter, because you weren't monetizing it. No? Nothing. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand why. So, packaged goods. Are they starting to use it?
Packaged goods are actually, I think, there's more advertising by packaged goods companies, I think, than most people think. For us, it hasn't been an extremely strong category, but it's one of the categories in which we sort of feel we've done a weaker job relative to the industry, so it's a huge focus for us this year.
Is that because they're late in the game, or is it because they don't get it, or is
We've
it because
seen a
they
fair-
don't like the internet? They kind of think that it's not there yet.
We've seen some of the large packaged goods companies doing a fair amount of upfront buying online, which is not, for newer companies, it's sort of hard for us to compete in that arena. So that's, I think, the main reason why we've missed some of that business. But it's absolutely here. I mean, there's the number of unique CPG advertisers online is significant.
Joe,
Yeah, it's our #1 category.
number one.
See, that's
Big
where all
time.
the money's going.
That's where all the money's going. The moms, right?
It's targeting moms in activities with their children, targeting moms and families. Yeah, I mean, that's a very solid area for us. And again, video as well as straight online media.
I keep hearing this word engagement. It's been pretty popular out there, right? Do you have any of these advertisers advertising to moms that are mastering engagement within video advertising?
In
Give us a story.
In our space, we do. I would say probably our most relevant story, two of them. One in particular, gaming, an advertiser, a CPG advertiser interested in casual gaming with moms, targeted a series with us across the year where we developed a series of online games that were literally tied to their in-store purchase activities and created an opportunity for them to snack on and then acquire higher levels of the gaming activities with their kids and on their own in various environments across Disney Online.
Video snacking. Eric, your sweet spot, right?
Love it.
Love it.
People come to Heavy a couple times a day, check out the video that's there, watch 1, 2. We have a sequence player, so we'll keep queuing up videos
How
they
many
want to see.
unique, let's put this in scale. How many unique users?
17 million on Comscore.
17 million on ComScore.
28
28
million.
million. Do you track uniques?
Well, the potential,
Yeah, you got it.
we talk about potential reach because we're not sold out on inventory of access to, but it's close to 100 million uniques.
So what do you do with your remnant inventory?
Well, a lot of times if we don't fill it, we don't get it. It's sort of how the business works. So we don't really think about it as remnant for us.
Darcy, how many uniques are you serving through all your channels?
We don't publish those numbers.
All right, what new technology, what new tactics, what new strategies for the internet or interactive marketing is going to impact consumer reach? Darcy, what do they got to do? What do these guys got to do to get advertisers to increase to 20%, which is going to make Joe a very happy guy?
You just have to touch the consuber everywhere they are. Mobile, we didn't talk about, and you said you weren't.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Does
you
everyone
gotta reach
know, when does this end? Quick.
3:30.
3:30?
Yeah.
Cool, we got time. I got some good questions for mobile. You want a question for mobile?
I'll take a question for mobile.
Hold on. Okay, quote from the guy, young analyst from Standard & Poor's this morning. There was a breakfast at 7:45. Anybody there? It was actually pretty good. High cost, slow speed, and quality problems, but it's got potential. God's honest truth, that's what he said. All right, so there's a lot of hype about mobile, but the penetration's pretty low. In this country, anyway, we haven't wired, so me trying to even get to the internet and just check something other than maybe update my Facebook page isn't really great.
Sure.
Okay? What are the key factors that are going to change it?
Well, the U.S. start with what
Go,
Verizon's,
yeah,
what
let's do
Verizon's
it.
going to do next
Korea,
month.
I know, has got it kind of working.
What Verizon's going to do next month, opening their system, is going to start a groundswell of opportunity for anybody to get to those handsets. So, just like it is in other countries, like you just mentioned, Korea. Obviously, new technologies, 4G, whatever it might be. But I don't think, unless you're putting movies over that, I don't think anyone wants to watch a movie or a TV show on their phone yet. News is very lively and very alive on mobile. Sports clips, highlights, if
That
there's
works. But is it ad supported?
Absolutely.
And are we making enough money to pay for all the stuff that you got to do? Joe,
Yeah, I think.
you guys got a sports thing in Disney, right?
Sure,
Yeah,
and
okay.
we do quite well with it there.
Popular?
The opportunity there, again, is tying back to consumer metrics that we know about our audience relative to the kinds of targeting that we can do, and understanding what the marketer is looking to do in that space. We can create video, we can create content around that is relevant to them and to their target or to that particular initiative. We can also utilize existing video that allows for them
so
to
we've got
create audience
repurpose, we got
connection.
new, and we got user generated, Are you doing anything on the mobile?
We're looking at a few things on mobile.
You're looking.
Yeah. I think on mobile it has to be engaging
I've
and
had like
entertaining.
12 companies approach me about developing a mobile app for my application. You've
Well,
got to
we-
have more than that.
We've had a ton approach this as well, and it's just that ROI of how much resource do we put into it versus what's the payout going to be now. And there's the options on mobile advertising that's text links, little ads that come through that are somewhat mobile spam, and there's great things that ABC did. Ann Sweeney showed the Lost episodes that are filmed just for mobile. I went to the airport, tried to get that up on my BlackBerry while I waited for my flight. I think that'd be great.
It
have a
would have
Coke-
been great.
I'd have a Coke logo next to
Wait,
that.
would have been great. Emily?
It will be great.
It will be great. Did you think of going to mobile, to your phone, to watch Lipstick Jungle?
No, I didn't.
No.
No, but I will.
You will?
I will, yeah.
Not now.
Not now. And it's
Yeah.
because of what you raised earlier. It's about speed. It's about, the
High cost,
usability.
slow speed, and quality problems.
But that's just a matter of time for those things to be solved.
Tell
Has
you
the iPhone changed it?
the market that is moving, that's advertising driven on mobile, is coupons. It's
Coupons.
kind of cheesy, but
Scan phone right through.
send a coupon, send a call to action, and make them do something else. Put 'em-
There's targeting, by the way,
Absolutely.
right?
And then also mobile search. I mean, that, very relevant,
Like
location-based.
mobile search, yeah.
It's a lifesaver.
Walking down the street, I want a pizza.
Right.
Yep.
Are you going to do mobile?
Yeah, the one thing I would add to this is, so we've talked to a fair number of mobile firms, that there are a significant number of mobile video companies doing more volume, I think, at least than I had believed or had assumed was their volume numbers. But what we found to be the biggest barrier is actually leveraging sort of the traditional IP-based ad serving services from Atlas and DoubleClick, which the majority of our campaigns are tracked. And we can't find ways to essentially track and serve the campaigns in the same way. And so as a result, I think, again, referring to the panel before, if it's not trackable, money's not going to flow there. And so...
Wait a minute. Not trackable. Hold it. Okay,
I've
I've
heard
got
about
a
that.
phone. My daughter doesn't use it. My wife doesn't use it. I mean, generally speaking, it's my phone, right? Darcy, you're shaking your head.
I think he's referring to the barrier at the head end, so you can't see what's going on past the carrier's head end, especially
I
in the US.
understand that the mobile carriers collect 200 individual pieces of information about me. Does that sound right?
That's probably right, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
they could easily sync it to
My consumer
the IP side
database,
of
they got
things.
my credit card, they got my where I live and
Yep.
how old I am and all sorts of personal data,
Sure.
everything.
The question isn't whether they can track it. The question is whether we can track it or traditional ad servers can track it. And
Isn't the question going to be the privacy issue? Emily's going, yeah.
But if you look at the privacy issue, would you rather give them more information so the stuff that showed up you actually cared about, or would you rather get tons of spam because you're so willing to protect your privacy that you get just junk that has nothing to do with what you're interested in?
Does that have to be the choice?
Does
I
that
think you
have-
should, as the user, you should be able to opt in. I should say, here's 10 things about me. Send me stuff. Give me 50% off my phone bill because I've agreed to look at 10 ads that are relevant to me. Or,
You have a
don't
question.
give
You got to
any
speak
information.
loud, though, or I'm going to cut you off.
I have an observation. Technically, there's no challenge in doing this. It's a huge slippery slope. And once the carriers start tracking this stuff, this becomes something that gets subpoenaed and it becomes a real burden for them to supply. So once they open up that can of worms, you can't close it.
So when the carriers do open it up,
Once they open it up, they can't decide when to close it.
do they get a piece of the advertising?
They should.
Sure
They
they'd
should.
like to, yeah.
They control the consumer.
Yeah, it's not. It's. I don't think it's.
Joe, what's the strategy for Disney?
Actually, I can't speak to one for Disney because we really do, ESPN being a separate division, runs their own division in terms of mobile, and it's a very profitable unit for them in
Okay,
terms
so
of
what have
ad
they learned?
sales.
You've been
I
watching
think what they
them.
learned was not to be in the hardware business, for one. And that they do have a lot of content that people want to see in a mobile environment. Putting ads next to it, putting opportunities next to it is still very difficult to measure from an ad serving point of view, but it is an opportunity for us, and it is a revenue producing area that's growing. I don't know that we know all of the opportunities that exist there yet.
Okay.
But there is definitely an audience gathering around that content.
The thing we don't have to worry about is clutter, at least right now, right?
True.
Every year, 3,100 years of video is created. I'm not sure if it was 8 hours of video a minute or an hour, but it's a lot. They're putting it on your site. They're putting it on YouTube. How do we cut through this clutter?
Well, I'd have we cut through the clutter by we select the videos that I think are appropriate for the audience and appropriate for the advertisers.
So are you picking it? If you got somebody there,
Yeah,
this young man, he's there going, this is really cool.
it's not him, but it's someone similar
Someone
to
like
him.
him.
You know, someone who's 18 to 34 who is into comedy, understands what our advertisers want because our programming
Loves it.
people understand our ad sales business.
So you're in the programming.
Yeah, we do an hour
You're
and a half
like the
original.
small Disney.
Sure, we're the heavy Disney.
The heavy Disney. Oh,
Heavy. Big mouth.
I got a question? Okay, sir.
Yeah, given that it's so hard to deal with the mobile carriers, wouldn't it make sense to develop specifically for mobile internet on their phone, even if you have to give them a client, or why doesn't someone create a service where you download their client and it's a viewer for other people's products too? Wouldn't that make a lot more sense than waiting for the mobile carriers?
Well, you don't have to wait long. Verizon's entire network head-end's coming down next month, so you can get to any phone, any user, anytime.
Right, I mean, so the question is, I'm asking you guys, would it make sense to do that, or maybe?
How many form factors are we dealing with? Go ahead.
Can I answer
the
this
question.
specific question? So the folks that we talked to were not the carriers and not folks that were on deck. The most of the, at least to my understanding, most of the high volume mobile video sites are actually now off deck. But it had to do with the fact that the video is being consumed by the native video player in the phone, and so given that these sites don't actually control the video player, they're not able to sort of track the same metrics that an online video player or other video players are able to track. So again, for us, it wasn't a carrier issue. It was information being sort of pushed out from the video player itself to our tracking
Well,
system.
wouldn't it be great if you just created a client that I could download to my phone and you could show all your video on your client on my phone?
Yeah, I mean, if I
What
could.
do you have, sir?
Huh?
What kind of phone?
Well, my phone's, it's a Palm, forget
Okay,
that.
so you're
But
gonna
I'm
try and
just
create
saying-
for his phone.
Audience aggregation of downloaded, clients on mobile is a big challenge. I mean, if someone came to us and they had huge distribution, we'd absolutely talk to them. I believe that was by not having a client necessarily necessary to download to watch content. I believe has been part of the growth of these mobile sites.
We already do that, what you just asked, so.
You download it on the Palm?
There you go.
Can I download it on my Palm?
You just send a note to one of the websites that we support, and we do real-time transcoding to your phone of whatever, and your
Do you
phone.
charge for that?
Your phone tells us who you are, or what kind of phone it is, the contrast, the screen size, all that information.
Darcy, who pays for it?
The content owner,
Content owner.
the portal.
The
I'll call
portal.
it. Portal
All
pays
right.
for it.
Let's talk about the splits, if you can. Again, you could be general, Todd, but I'm a publisher. How much am I getting versus how much is you got the advertiser, we got the publisher, we got you guys, we got ad serving fee.
Yeah.
We can't split it 50-50 because there's too many 50s in here.
Yeah.
Who's getting the money?
I think
Take a dollar.
videos I don't think very different than other ad categories. Typically, the publisher gets 50 to 75% of revenue, probably depending on volume and the quality of the site. The ad network in the video network business typically bears the cost of ad serving, which could be 10% or
And that cost is coming down, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
that would be the rough breakdown. So,
You think that'll be the same with mobile?
I think eventually as these markets mature, these are well-established rev shares in other categories. So of course competition's a big piece of it as well. But I think,
Joe,
I'm honestly not familiar with those.
are you syndicating your content?
Yes, we are, but again.
Do you
it's-
allow it to go up on YouTube? I haven't followed this, so I gotta ask you the question.
Some of it ends up there, but no, it's not as a
It's
function
not
of.
a deal with
any initiative that we do.
any of the ABC properties,
Right.
Disney, nothing, no?
No.
Okay, you're not on Eric's heavy
No.
thing, right? No. All right, so when you do syndicate, like CBS syndicates their content, if I take CBS's content, I can put it on my site, on my blog, but then I've got a commercial attached to that.
Mhm.
Do you do anything like that?
Very little, no.
Very little. If they want ABC content, damn it, they're coming to you.
They're coming to an ABC outlet of some sort.
Want Disney? To you.
That's right.
No Disney content on your sites. Eric, if I want to take one of your web episodes and put it on my site, can I do it?
Yeah, we make it super easy. Just click one button and it'll go to your site.
I can put it up.
Love it. The more the merrier.
I get my own guy, he programs,
Yep.
and do I have
We,
an
we
ad with it?
encourage the embedding because we believe that if you embed the video into your site, you watch it, someone else watch it, they'll say that's from Heavy, and they'll come back to Heavy to get more of that great video.
All right, so now, do you get an ad?
Depends. We're working with that model right now.
You're working with, so walk us through. Here you go, guys, chance to learn.
Where we're going with Heavy is the original destination content, but what we also have is Husky Media.
Your destination, just like Disney.
But, so if you embed our video, and this is something that'll come out next couple months, you click on that video when it's on your site, it pops up, and it runs in the same environment that you see on Heavy, where it's one big video, the video scans, and the mid-roll. So that's Husky Media. And what we're doing is taking that and taking our great experience out other places, so any publisher can monetize any video through Husky Media.
Okay, so you're syndicating, how much you giving to the publisher? Who makes money on your site? If I put up a video, do I make some money?
On my site?
Yeah.
No.
If I create a web episode?
You can make money if you put up a video on our site. Our editors, this guy here,
Yeah.
screens it, says it works well. We put it up, we run it. We'll come back and say, Scott, you're a great producer for guys 18 to 34. We love that video you did of this, that, and the other thing. Can you make 3 more that are similar? And we'll pay you for that.
Cool. All right. We got a revenue model for syndication. Darcy, any of your sites? Can I pull the video and put it on my blog?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say half of them are doing that. I mean, the smartest one, I give them a plug, Reuters.
Reuters, okay.
They let their news go everywhere, and they get great coverage, and their CPMs are higher than probably most in the room.
So I can take the Spitzer thing, I put it on my blog, there he is. Has it got an ad attached to it?
Absolutely.
Yes. Pretty smart.
It's got a pre-roll. It's simple, but
Okay, so who makes money? Walk us through the split. Todd did.
I don't get involved in the splits, so sorry.
Give us some ranges.
I'm sure Reuters keeps a good chunk of it, and so does the affiliate. Gets
Okay.
a piece, and everybody else gets downstream.
Everybody gets 50%.
No.
For us, it's 50%. You put Husky Media on your site, we'll give you 50%.
50%.
We'll take the sales costs and the operation serving costs. So if you're a publisher, you don't have to hire a whole sales force. We can take care of that for you.
I like this. Okay. What do you think? Should they be syndicating or shouldn't they be syndicating?
I think they being just generally speaking,
Well,
should
they
be
got
syndicated.
Disney here. Joe's saying, you want my content, you're coming to my site. That's it. Period. End of story.
Right.
Eric saying, you want my content? Take it. Darcy, smartest company out there, Reuters.
Right.
Damn. Sounds good. Is he right or are they right?
Well, I think it depends. I think it depends on whether you want to control really where your content is at.
You're sounding like a
So-
consultant.
But there is, obviously, with syndication, you get great reach, and there can be great upside. But if preserving your brand is paramount and you have value associated with it, and need to control where that brand is positioned, then you need to hold on to it.
So he's
That's what's
protecting
important.
his brand, but it seems to me that Reuters has got, well, I don't know if Reuters has got.
Don't
a
forget,
brand.
it's
a
news.
publisher.
He's got stuff that's got value downstream till long tail goes 100 years away. News
Joe,
news
do you
doesn't
think
matter.
anybody's putting your stuff up on their site without you knowing about it?
I would say yes.
It's probably happening. Todd, will you sell the advertising of the stuff that's on my site that?
It sort of depends on the content, the way in which it's served, all of that. I mean, again, if we're working with a branded publisher and they're syndicating their content, we'll work with them to monetize that.
Okay, what percentage of the content
Very
is
little.
syndicated?
Very,
Really?
very little, yeah.
I like their model better.
I think it
Then
depends.
again,
It depends on your brand. I mean,
I do.
ABC, Disney, ESPN. I mean, we're talking about pretty powerful brands
Big
that
mouths.
don't need a lot of syndication to grow. So I think it depends on your power in the market.
Who knows about overlays? Everybody knows about them, right? What do you think of them?
I think they're actually a creative invention.
It's a creative invention. As a
Yeah.
user, do you like them?
Yeah, I don't mind them because it allows you. What it allows you to do is continue to see your content.
You watch TV at all?
I do.
Okay, and when you watch TV and you see this little guy popping up and waving to you, and you're trying to watch your show, don't you find it irritating?
No.
No. All right. Anybody else find it irritating? Yeah.
Violated.
Okay, violated. I'm talking to you right now.
On TV, they slide it across.
Yeah, they slide it,
on
they
that
move it,
overlay, the overlay stays in the zone. and
Okay.
ignore
You just
that
change
zone.
the content.
So you're Darcy, what do you think?
I think the overlay is genius.
Genius?
I think it's great. People
Genius for the advertiser
On the
or for
internet.
the publisher?
on the internet, it's genius. On television, it's annoying. That's what you just said it. Because I pay a subscription to television and I watch it for free.
Wait a minute.
I'll take that ad.
Hold on. I'm watching internet TV, going to some site that has Lipstick Jungle. I'm watching 6 ads, and on top of that, you're going to put an overlay, and you're telling me that I have to have that because I'm not paying for it? What about the ads?
Well, I think that is the ad, isn't it? I mean, how crowded is the screen? I
They
guess
did a
is-
lot of stuff. I mean, they probably had an overlay and the 6 ads. All right, Eric.
No.
You hate 'em.
Heavy, we
Tell
think
me.
if you frame the video, you give the end user the video they want, and you put the advertiser's ads on the side of it. One ad, one video. So this is to the point that we're talking about.
Have you
put
looked
two-
at it?
Look at it all the time.
Everybody's pitched it to you. There's a bunch of
Overlay?
companies out
Sure,
there.
it's a way to monetize and way to, other opportunities. But we look at it as how do you give the end user what they want and the advertiser the best opportunity. I'm talking about technologies down the line. When someone has their computer plugged into their 50-inch TV and they blow it up full screen, that ad's going to be there, but they're still going to be getting that great content. You're not going to have buttons
All right.
and links and stuff.
Joe,
Yeah,
how's
we-
the mouse feel about?
We like them.
Do you like
We
them?
like them. We're not implementing too many of them right now, but we are looking at.
What's not too
different
many?
ways.
What percent of your ads are allowing an overlay?
Gosh, I'd say it's less than 5%.
Less than 5.
Oh, easily, yeah.
So you're dipping the toe
Yeah.
in it.
Again, it's providing giving us an opportunity to provide content.
It's giving you a chance to make more money.
Maybe,
on.
might be,
utilizing
might be
the
making less
content
money.
that we have. That's
Wait,
right.
okay. How do we?
I
First
said,
of all,
I said it might be making less money. I mean, if you take out a pre-roll and you put an overlay and you don't charge it.
yeah, but if you do both, then you got a
Well,
profit.
yeah.
Okay, so
you can also,
Todd,
yeah.
are you letting anybody put overlays in on top of the ad?
Yeah, we view our business as basically ad unit agnostic. I mean, as long as a large number of branded publishers support it, we'll sell it. The 5% number, if I were to project out the next 3 years, I don't think overlays will represent more than 5 to 10% of the video business. So I think it's a part
So
of
it
the
was a
business.
flash.
No, I think it's a part of the business. I just don't think it's the unit that's going to be accepted by advertisers at scale.
What would be the design for analytics going forward? Joe, what kind of report do you want to provide to the advertisers going forward that's going to make this easy for them?
Well, if television can answer that question, then I'd take whatever they could get. But I would say that we're looking at a range, as I said earlier. It's inclusive of brand equity and the ability to build mind share. It's the ability to try to connect with time spent and how much time are you getting spent with your brand online in an active way. It's a matter of I think still click-through and conversion will always be a piece of that. Impressions will continue to be a piece of that. The quality of the audience that you're able to generate and the time spent one-on-one with that audience. I think some form of measuring, again, not any
So we
small
got to
test.
measure all that stuff.
I think
That's kind of your vision.
I think ultimately that's what will bring about the kind of range of value that I think the internet can represent.
Sounds like a good plan. Emily, is it going to happen?
I mean, not overnight. I mean, one of the challenges is you want to have a common set of metrics so that you can compare apples to apples. I think that's part of the challenge.
Common set.
And so that requires, at an industry level, to agree to what those are and actually how you measure and calculate them.
But the industry is just a lot of media companies, and don't they agree?
They don't have a set of standards that they've all agreed to, no.
No, not anytime soon.
Well, we actually did a study, believe
Go
it or
ahead.
not.
Go ahead. Tell us about this study. What did the study tell us?
The study said actually that it is going to happen probably in the next 4 to 5 years. It's going to not
Next
happen
4 to 5 years.
which is actually longer than I would have guessed.
Okay. Anybody question? I'll keep going. Go ahead.
How big a role is behavioral targeting going to play, and single sign-on or user-centric digital identity, things like OpenID, that are allowing people to track usage across different heterogeneous environments, at least in theory and technically. Is that going to make people really
Behavioral targeting. Who knows about it? Todd, tell us.
We talk a lot about it. We've looked into it a lot. I would say that, as I look at the buying process of video, it just feels very much like banners did in 02, 03. I mean, behavioral targeting is going to come. It's going to be an important piece of the business, but I mean, we're definitely farther away from it than I would have thought we would have been even 2 years ago. So, it seems that buying video online is much more like buying television. In fact, it's demo targeted or other measures. So, I mean, behavioral targeting is great, and one of the dashboard reports that we'd love to offer advertisers, and have done some work with Quantcast on trying to test this, is to actually show that the demographic that was targeted was actually the demographic that was reached. Now,
I talked to an agency that was very impressed with what Quantcast was doing.
yeah, I mean, I think
You're pleased with
unfortunately the data wasn't conclusive and wasn't sort of strong enough, but that, again, they just started, so.
We have no answer for you. Does anybody have an answer? Behavioral?
We have the majority of what we do is contextual because we have such a niche audience, but we can line up the shows in a way.
Largely the same, contextual.
Come on! So many sites, so many advertisers.
I think he said it. It's a lot of talk going on, and people are trying to figure out what all of those algorithms are going to be that are going to make the right formula, and so you can believe that what's coming out.
I mean, behavioral targeting is much, at least today, has been much more effective if you had a direct response target that you're trying to influence and you're trying to optimize your spend against that target. It's just not in my experience, not the way traditional broad brand campaigns are bought.
Okay, who had a question?
Sorry, can I just have a quick follow-up?
No, because he had a question, and then I'll come back to you.
I just had a comment on something that Emily said. When you get down to baseline metrics, I mean, granted there has to be something that's there, but the idea of coming up with something that's all-reaching or whatever kind of horrifies me. I mean, I think it needs to get simpler. I think it needs to go back to the audience, right? Value that audience. See, initially the test phase, like.
What's your question?
No question. The comment wasn't the idea.
Let me get my follow-up.
You get your follow-up. I'll be right with you. Go ahead.
Might it be around the area of targeting to the individual user that the analytics might finally resolve? Isn't that where we're heading? I mean, if everybody's heading toward personalization, and it's all about personalization of media delivery across platforms, then isn't it going to resolve around the user and the behavioral targeting around the user? Isn't that where it has to go? Or am I missing something?
Is he missing something?
I think you're right. I mean, ideally, you can see where all the messages are delivered to one consumer, so you can have a view about basically
The
how is that one
whole
consumer. Yeah,
audience.
but I mean
Okay.
that
I
would be
think
awesome. But that's
I'll tell you what,
a huge
if you have
across
more
mediums.
information, and if you want to follow up, I will give you the contact. Anyone who gives me their card, I'll give you the contact information for everyone on this panel. So, it's easy. You can write to them, email them. You can probably try and call them. I don't know if they answer their phones. But, anyway, I'm happy to give you that. All right. Who had a question? Right there. Yes. Talk
I
loud.
wonder for these media companies, in order to pull all this information together, you're getting some data out of your CDN, you're getting some data out of web analytics, you're getting some data out of the ad insertion network.
And they all disagree with each
and
other.
you got to, I'm bringing the metric from it, you still got to bring this stuff all together. So the question is, how willing are the media companies or the owners to actually do that work to pull all that stuff together?
Joe, how easy is it?
We do it. We
You
know
do it.
we know we have the information. We use it again within our own business units.
All right,
but-
Todd, when I buy on your network, you give me a good report, right?
Yeah, but every
And then
company.
I'm checking my own logs, and they probably don't agree.
I'd say our sort of the difference is about 5% max that
5%.
we've seen. But I think the more important thing is the media people aren't sharing this kind of behavioral or performance data across different, user cookies, et cetera. So obviously, the larger the organization, the more impressions you serve, the more data you have, the better you are in terms of selling off that data.
How much is your reporting differing from the advertiser's logs?
I don't know off the top of my head. Depends on what advertiser.
You're a number cruncher. You're a technology. What's the gap?
I'll just give you one. The CDN reporting of usage versus the real unique is orders of magnitude off, like 25, 30% different.
25 to 30. How do you resolve this?
You have to look at all of it. I think he said it. You got to look at every metric that you can and try and
battle it out.
And you're going to always have some margin error, so the margin error has to be acceptable to the end user.
Sure.
Do you have this problem?
Yeah, there's always discrepancies.
Discrepancy.
On huge
How big?
volume, I don't know.
Because you don't have big campaigns?
We have big campaigns. I don't know the number off the top of my head, so I'm not going to throw it out.
All right. Who else has a question? All right. What does a network look like going forward? Is there a network? Is there a Disney in the future when we go to 3 screens? Is there?
I believe so, yeah. I
You
believe
think
we
there is?
have the opportunity to just export the content that we're creating into all 3 platforms and take advantage of that from a consumer point of view.
So you think a branded network can live when I take content from here and put it here and I go here? Do you think there's a branded network?
I think absolutely. I mean, ESPN's a great example. I mean, I've been pretty impressed in how they've continued to enter new categories and just basically own them or be the dominant player. So, absolutely.
Eric?
I think there's going to be lots of kind of networks. It's how video gets monetized and how the end user finds it. It might be your bookmark button. It might be your tabs.
You think destinations is the way to go?
No, I think it's the content, no matter how people find it.
Follow the content. Darcy, you have an opinion?
No.
Are you going to get people to drive? Do you think that networks? What's a network look like in the future?
Good question. I mean, the network really is going to be across all the different mediums. And
Yeah.
it's not just going to be about just the content. It's going to be about, I start to think about the ad networks. It's about bringing together all of the ad sellers, ad buyers,
But
all
let's
the
talk about
producers
from
of
the user
content, all the...
perspective. From the user's perspective, do they create their own thing? I mean, I don't go to ABC. I go and watch a show, right? I go to, maybe ESPN violates that. We go to ESPN, or at least guys who like sports do, okay? I go to the TV Food Network because there's food, okay? But theoretically, I don't know which company produced Spider-Man. If I go and get a movie, I just get a movie, right? Does it become more the consumers in control of the content? And do they put it up and create their own network?
I mean, you can see that actually with Delicious in a way. What Delicious does is
That's it.
allows you to kind of tag all those things that are important to you, and you can share that with friends. So yes, but I don't think that means that there's still going to be a network.
There'll still be a network. All right. Biggest threat to your business. What's keeping you up at night right now? Besides the fact of your travel schedule.
I think ad networks constantly have a challenge of either getting more inventory or getting more advertiser volume, and it's always a chicken or the egg, so it depends on the week, but those are both obviously concerns of our business.
Joe?
I think making it so easy that it turns itself into a commodity. I think that's where we have to be careful.
Like
The pure
video advertising?
pure
or-
ability to make it a commodity is I think a threat to our business.
Eric, what's the biggest threat to your business?
Similar to Joe, I think it's finding that fine line of making it easy enough to buy, but different enough that it stands out and adds incremental value.
Darcy? What's keeping you up? Everything's running smoothly.
Every single person has the same device to watch everything. That's my problem, and I don't think it'll ever happen, so it's a good problem to have. Standards.
You're not going to replace your phone anytime soon, right, sir?
Probably will.
Might. Okay, if you tell them what kind to get, and you tell everyone else, it might work. Okay. Darcy, what should these guys be worried about? Or
In
Emily, I'm
addition,
sorry.
that's okay. In addition to what, I mean, I think actually everybody raised some good questions. On
Okay,
top
what's
of
their
that,
biggest opportunity? What?
Interactivity.
Interactivity.
That's the game changer. And that then requires understanding behavior. That adds value. That makes them
engagement, interactivity.
Right, it's how you define it.
It's going to make them more money. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's be real. Come on, let's be optimistic.
I think also part of it is the advertising industry is years and years of this essentially TV market.
And we never even really went into the advertising agency dilemma of
And just even the whole
silos
process.
and all the things that.
So it's a huge
Nobody wants
change
to
of
talk
how
about.
you do business and how you interact. I think that is one of the biggest challenges and barriers.
Okay, folks, thank you very much for coming today. Please give the panel a